The background to this question, Minister, is the Levinson inquiry in Britain, which was the British state's response to the very serious issues of phone hacking and information being obtained by media outlets in a manner which breached privacy and caused huge concerns. Now, it is acknowledged at this stage that large amounts of the hacked material was either sent to or commissioned from News International's Dublin office. And in light of that, I'm wondering what the Minister or his department is going to do to investigate these very serious concerns and protect Irish citizens.
Minister number 7.
I am of course aware, Deputy, in general terms, of information which is in the public domain relating to the organisation named, which I understand to have been the subject of a public inquiry and also criminal prosecutions in the United Kingdom. Indeed, such prosecution is still taking place. It would be entirely inappropriate for me to comment on matters which are the subject of proceedings, either civil or criminal, in another jurisdiction. Of course, if the Deputy has any information regarding unlawful activity in this jurisdiction, then the appropriate course of action is for her to furnish that information to the Garda Síochána, who can then properly assess it and act on it as appropriate. In relation to future legislation included in the Government legislative programme is a criminal justice bill which will transpose EU Directive 2013/40 on attacks against information systems. The bill will create a range of offences to protect information systems and data from illegal access and interference. The definition of information system in the directive is extremely wide. It will encompass modern communication systems. The directive also provides for the liability of bodies corporate in relation to the offences created. The bill is at an advanced stage of preparation. I hope to be in a position to publish it in the autumn.
Thank you, Minister. Deputy Daly.
I have to say I'm a little bit shocked at the Minister's flippant response to what is a very serious situation. The Minister should be aware that shortly when he took office, the Panorama programme furnished very serious information which, without any question or doubt, revealed that substantial amounts of information were emanating from the Dublin offices of News International, an office which was presided over by a Ukrainian individual called Alex Maranchak, who had MI5 clearance and operated with MI6 indeed, and who was actually very close to Fianna Fáil and the previous government. Really, the fact that this individual is now the subject of serious criminal charges in Britain in relation to phone hacking, the evidence is unequivocal that he has been involved in employing a network of hackers and so on to gain information illegally, to present that information in a slanted way and in an Irish context in a politically motivated way, where individuals like Mary McAleese and Peter Hain were the target of these interventions. Now, if you don't think that it's serious for a news outlet operated in this city around the corner from the Dáil, who had very close relationships with the previous government, particularly Bertie Ahern's administration, and that is not a matter for investigation, well then I think you want to look a little bit deeper, because these matters involve massive breaches of privacy, and you've got to contrast your non-response with the response of the British government in that regard.
Minister.
The Deputy constantly is confused between the investigative and operational role of Garda Síochána and my role as Minister for Justice. I'm advised there's no complaint received by Garda Síochána in relation to the matters the Deputy raises. I take with great seriousness the breach of, by any news media, of individuals' privacy. I take with great seriousness action taken that could detrimentally impact on the lives of individuals, particularly where it's false information relating to individuals, or information that is obtained and then contrived to put in a narrative to do individuals down. I take that with the greatest of seriousness, and in particular aspects of information that might impact on people's private family life or tragedies that occur during the course of their lives. I take that with the utmost seriousness. But in the context of matters that are being criminally prosecuted in Britain, I'm not going to say anything that could, and I'd ask the Deputy to be cautious in how she articulates these matters in this House, which is not to say anything that would prejudice issues that are presently before the British courts, and which could be interpreted as so doing to the benefit of individuals who are facing serious criminal charges. And I'm not going to say anything in this House that could be so interpreted.
Thank you, Minister.
But if there are issues of illegality, if there's an investigation that An Garda Síochána should conduct in this particular context, a formal complaint needs to be made to An Garda Síochána. If there are issues that are being investigated by the English authorities and being investigated by them effectively, which is resulting in appropriate individuals being brought before the courts, it's a matter for the Garda Síochána to determine whether to leave these matters to the British police or whether there are matters to be separately investigated in this jurisdiction. But if the Deputy has information, about News International or any media outlet in this state, infiltrating the telecommunication systems, the email systems, the phone systems of any individual in this state, I'd ask the Deputy to furnish it to me. I will furnish it to An Garda Síochána, and I will make a request that the matter be considered by An Garda Síochána with a view to it being investigated.
Sorry, Deputy, the only Minister.
Yeah, I have no problem with doing that, but we did furnish you with information in relation to travellers going on the Pulse system over 6 weeks ago, and we haven't had a reply from you. But I will furnish on this information. It is not my understanding that no complaint has been made. I think very serious information has been given to the relevant authorities, and it is without dispute to my mind. And I think the Minister is deliberately confusing things here, because what we're saying, and it's without fear of contradiction, that this individual who is before the courts in Britain was a well-known figure in media circles in Dublin. He was known to the Garda Special Branch, and also connected with senior politicians and alleged security journalists. He also used a string of informants who were used by the Garda Síochána also. Now, I think it is relevant that News International's database should be examined here, their payments record for details of who was paid, who was hacked, and also to establish the nature of the relationship between News International and its informants, because there is a crossover between Garda informants, and I think it's relevant how or if An Garda Síochána were involved in that. But I'm delighted that you want to know the information, because you will get it, although I'm surprised because I think your department already has it.
Minister, final reply on this.
The Deputy is addicted to conspiracy theories. I have a particular view of the world, which is if there's illegality that takes place, it should have a criminal nature. It should be investigated by An Garda Síochána if the illegality is clearly a criminal offence within this jurisdiction. I have a very simple view of the world. I don't know why the Deputy thinks I have an any more complex view than that. Now, if the Deputy is suggesting that without substantive evidence, An Garda Síochána should simply arrive in the offices of the print media and demand access to all of their computers and all of their information and violate the print media's right to freedom of expression and their right to write articles and the right to report on information, I would disagree with the Deputy. If the Deputy is saying, and we've seen this happen in Britain, and rightly so, where an effective investigation is being conducted into conduct that was outrageous, which produced a very detailed report, which I'm sure the Deputy is familiar with, in Britain with regard to the manner in which the privacy of both public and indeed private individuals was invaded. They're different issues. And if the Deputy is in a position to furnish to me the substantive evidence of criminality in this jurisdiction, I will pass it on to An Garda Síochána. But the Deputy clearly is aware of the fact that there are prosecutions before the courts in the United Kingdom, and I'm going to say nothing that could in any way prejudice the outcome of those prosecutions.